Welcome to Back Channel Media. Man, the last 48 hours, my goodness, it has been a wild ride. Overwhelming, I should say. Is that a good word to use? For those of you that are just tuning into this video, 2 days ago, I had 25 subscribers. And I do want to say that no matter how many subscribers came after that, you're still considered my 26th subscriber. But after the last video, I did tease that I wanted to talk about sources. A lot of people agreed they would love to hear about sources. I'm very passionate about it, so let's get into it. So the best way that I found to be able to easily describe this is using the debate between Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens, where they're specifically discussing sources. And what I'm going to use is publicly documented concepts, right? No classified information. Everything is open source. It's going to be documented down below in the video description. So let's see the first video.
My sources at the U.S. Marshals were saying they were basically sent on a wild goose chase that day.
But do you see how you say my sources?
You're not allowed to have sources?
Well,
like
the thing is funny.
So is CNN allowed to have sources?
Well, hang on. I have sources. If I said I have sources that claim none of that's true. In fact, my sources claim that her sources are lying. My sources claim that none of them believe that there's a conspiracy. My sources claim all of them really think that Tyler Robinson was a lone gunman. If I just said that as hypothetical, wouldn't you say, what?
All right, so I'm showing you this for context. My job here, I'm not creating another Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens debate video. That already exists. It's linked down below the original video. But I'm going to show you what she said. I'm going to show you his rebuttal. And then I'm going to go into elaborate detail about picking sources. And I'm going to let you make your own decision that if you think her sources are legitimate. That's the entire purpose of this video. So let's see his rebuttal.
How would it legitimize these sources that even if it's the case that you get some court footage or some things like this, why would it legitimize that your sources are telling you all the marshals believe it's a conspiracy, all the police believe it's a conspiracy, everybody believes it? How would that legitimize any of that?
Well, Andrew, I'm actually glad you asked that question because we are about to go over source validation. So grab a chair, grab a pen, take some notes here, okay? So the very first thing that I'm sure Candace does, she might not have it listed like this, but I promise you, she's very intelligent. She's doing this. She's going to find out if they're credible, if they're reliable. Are they saying off the wall things? Can I trust what they're saying? It's really no different than if you were to go to McDonald's, hand them your resume, and, they're taking it. All right, well, this guy looks like he's done some pretty solid work. Let me call this reference and make sure that he's credible. It's the same thing. It's no different. Where it starts getting a little bit different is a thing we call placement and access. And the best way to be able to explain this is, say you're looking to get some information inside of a corporation and you find a janitor that wants to become a source. He has the placement inside that corporation, but he does not have the access, to find out what the bigwigs are talking about. So he has one of the two, but you want both. You want him to be able to not just be there, he also has to be in the know. And I'm going to go over this one here at the very end. You're going to have to stick around because if you remember on the last video, I said that I got kicked in the chest. When I was, just freshening up on this, something kind of hit me. You got to stick around to the end. It's not clickbait. Feel free to fast forward if you don't want to wait, but it's kind of crazy. All right. That leads us into what did they actually know? And this is mostly just, again, is it hearsay? Is he just telling me that somebody else told him? Well, if that's the case, then I'm just going to go get your buddy because he's the one that really has the placement and access. All right. So we just went over like maybe half of the source validation. And I'm going to finish the rest, but I want to take a second and listen to another clip that Candace had.
Okay, great.
Let's talk about the conversation as we've agreed to.
Let's talk about the Foreign Legion.
Sure.
Was the Foreign Legion, do you believe, trying to kill you?
Yes, that's why I reported it to the correct officials in government. That's what I was told, and I handed over that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office.
What's your best piece of evidence for that?
Well, it was
positive evidence.
All right, so what Candace is saying is that somebody high up in the French government, they reached out to her and they said that the French Foreign Legion was on the ground there in Utah. And she took that information, she gave it to the proper authorities. Now, Andrew kept saying, essentially, what proof do you have? Which makes no sense. That's like, say, for instance, someone broke into my house right now. And I pick up the phone, I call 911, and I'm like, hey, dude, someone's breaking into my house. And they're like, well, what proof do you have that somebody's breaking into your house? Like, dude, they're here right now. That's your job to investigate that, not my job. I'm telling you, they're here. It's no different than that. I know that sounds just super crazy. But even if we were to take half of this source validation sheet, and it's fine. Y'all get me worked up is what y'all are doing. It's fine. He's in a seat over here taking notes. Even if you were to take half of this source validation, most likely they're going to be credible. They're going to be reliable. They have placement and access because they're high up in the French government. And even if we get into hearsay, even if that person did not specifically hear it himself, we should still take that at face value based off of the merit of the claim, right? And then that would lead into corroboration. Well, she submitted that to the proper authorities. It can't be corroborated until somebody investigates it, which is absolutely insane that nobody reached out to her. So let's get into motivation. So this is probably the most favorite one that I like talking about, is the motivation. Why is the source telling you this? Why is Candace having the U.S. Marshals come to her and tell her that this seems strange? Now, again, we have no concrete proof that they're legitimate, but why? Let's think of the motivation. Why would the U.S. Marshals come to her for that? What are they really getting out of that to tell her that? They're getting nothing out of it. Is it just fun for them? Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. They're coming to her because they generally feel like something occurred there. Or the guy high up in the French government. He's not doing, in fact, he's risking his life to give her that information. So his motivation is very strong. It's outside of, monetary gain for sure, because he's not getting anything in return for that except, the potential to lose his life. And, I love teaching this because it's not really just about money. A lot of people also think, hey, that source is just doing it for money. Okay, well, what is he doing with the money? Well, he's buying a new car with it. Okay, why? Well, he's buying a new car so he can go to the hospital. Why is he going to the hospital? Oh, because his mom has stage 4 cancer and she has to get dialysis, every Monday morning. Okay, that is a strong motivation. Now you know the why behind it. You know why they're doing it. And while we're on that topic, let's talk about the steakhouse. And we're going to try to backtrack a little bit, but it's fine. You said you would like to listen to me ramble, so here we go. We have that steakhouse, right? Dude, he gets into this about this stupid steak receipt, and it almost seemed like he's trying to find out if the receipt exists. That's really the argument. But why? Why is he trying to find out that? I don't know. We'll get into that in another video, but right now let me stay focused here on this steak receipt. So she found out that he went to this restaurant. Okay, what is his motivation behind this? Well, the guy that probably told her that he potentially went to the steak, he's getting nothing out of it. So, and the guy works there. He's the owner. He has placement and access. It makes sense that he's reporting this to Candace. Just using that source validation sheet. It works every single time. All right, so the last few things is consistency. Not necessarily is what he's telling me consistent every time. It's more like, is what he's telling me consistent, with the info or the intelligence that I've already validated or corroborated. The last point, confidence. They usually, rate it on a scale. I think it goes like low, moderate, high. I know somebody could fact check me. It's on a scale. And then really the main point of all this, you have all of these checks and balances, but it's not really it's not really a science. It's more like an art. And at the end of the day, I know Andrew was bashing Candace for her, did she have a dream? Has she had a hunch? It's really, do you trust what this guy is saying? At the end of the day, do you believe it? Could it be true? All right, so let me give you a hypothetical. Again, strictly hypothetical. Say you have an influencer who has a Charlie Kirk text message. And, recently he went to TP USA, so he has the placement to the building. But why does he have access to Charlie Kirk's phone?